Okay, it's 17:15. Saturday, September the 12th. Um, if what I have to say here matters this morning, I'm not even sure it does anymore. Um, I'm going to just say what needs to be said here for the benefit of uh, Rudy over there and to the American people and to the Ukrainian people. Um, there's a gentleman in Michigan, Mr. Terry Ebles, uh, and there's a gentleman in Maine, uh, Joseph Gross, and there's a gentleman in Texas, uh, part of the Texas White Hats, and we've been trying to get people's attention for quite some time now. The progression of the development for the headquarters for the concert event and the distribution of funds to the children, uh, they're constantly on hold because of problems with our communication circuits uh, and the connectivity out of Ukraine for something legitimate uh, as far as the administrative compliance for corporates across border, uh, being the American sole source, uh, independent here, and being quote unquote the victim of crime. Uh, I don't do victims, sir. I'm United States Army Signal Corps and raised my hand at 17 years old. And because of that, we've been on a path of our own right to assist the veterans and the families of the former Soviet states uh, and the United States. Um, just as who I be, the Reagan era radio guy. And I'm about tired of listening to scrambled wires, sir. Meaning no disrespect. I want to see if I can't get your attention to something that matters. Um, people's been eating each other for all of recorded history for a very simple reason, just utterly simple reason. We've dorked with the harmonic balance of Mother Nature as it affects the organic life forms specific to our understanding of what quote unquote is science today. And what I know is radio, and coming from the Lanier clan like I do, with our family being so uh, entwined across the threads of the fabric of humanity when it comes to music. And then the understanding that we as human beings, we bark at each other. I'm hoping that expression matters to an American. So I say we got to stop being dogs on the chain barking at each other. And we got to keep it simple. The right to clean water, the right to clean food, and the right to a roof over your head, and the right to travel unmolested via the acts of usury, which are the foundations of debt and poverty, which is, leads to the pinnacle of man's stupidity we call war. For me, as a father of six, um, on the books, and the truth being, uh, the father of nine by my own making, with four of them having been killed via abortion, and four of them stolen by the corruption state. I just rise as who I be over here. Somebody over yonder, that so-called central bank in the United States and in the other purviews of this trust, which spans every organized state on the planet today via private contract. We're just trying to understand what the hell's going on here. What we know today is we place funds via international standard cross-border, and we watch a conflict break out, and we watch people try to erase the bank that I own actually exists. And of course, in a circled wagons mode, you come back and you just say, well, what do you do now? Well, we did the expatriation under Title 4, under Treasury License 14. We exported everything back to the United States, and we did major transfers of wealth holdings as far as at a source and origin level, which would be the bonds and the asset listings and the currencies and all the things of wealth that man has accrued over its endeavors to provide something for the future. So it's within that realm of speaking about the future. I've learned systemically that if we as humans don't pay attention to where we've been, and so then you have to do a full stop and see what the ultimate goal needs to be here. A child that's born without parents exists today because of the test tube technology, and a child born without parents because of the corruption of the state exists wholeheartedly, because I'd be one of those, and rising again in defense of the success and failures of quote-unquote administrative construct of law. We have approached the quantum realm in the ability to communicate as the Americans, and that changes our responsibility to the human existence, if you will. Instead of being the guard dog on the chain, which was what we've been our entire existence, and then I say we have to be what we really are, and that be the guardians of the truth of the historical archive of man. And for me, I happen to know in my soul the source and origin of the secrets of man be the cross, literally, factually proven. So when you do that, and you, it's what it be, sir. God won. Okay. Just like it was written, people have spent enough time in the ill wind of the demonic nature of the imbalance of the harmony of what it means to be human. So then you go back into the stacks and the archives, and you say, well, how can you do something best for the children? And I tried to keep it simple in what I did. I said, well, if you want to change the country, you need to teach a child. And we've seen the effects of that. And then you realize, well, wait a minute. 9/11 is still pretty important to me as an oath keeper. I'm like, who in the hell blew up my radio, sir? Because that'd be what I know. We all were affected by 9/11. Well, Uncle Sam don't train no fool. And so any of the oath keepers that were found lacking in their ability to honor their the reality of their oath, well, military is military, and military don't need nobody's permission under U.S. law. So it's in that light that we just move forward for the benefit of the children. And I say we're better than what we're doing today based on a very simple idea. The logistics be the problem. It always has been. The logistics of source and origin of objects of trade and the destination and use of those objects of trade. And then you got to keep it simple. We come back and we look at the physics that says that for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. Well, that'd be the cross. Literally, if you drew what you just said, it would be the cross. So it's within that simple mentality you move forward and you say to yourself, what it is can we do for these children so that they can have more than what we had? With the understanding, uh, Mr. Rudy Giuliani, sir, you're old enough to be my father, so I'm still a kid at heart. And I say, after what I've been through, that be the key, sir. Letting these children be what they be, and loosening the bonds of usury and debt and the poverty. Well, kids fight. Um, Kids can hurt each other. So you have to ask yourself, well, how did they do that? Well, you got people that believe, so, well, you can't give kids guns. Well, yeah, you can. So my point is what? Do we use the weapon technology to continue to perpetuate the Orwellian state that we've enabled today, or do we move forward with something better that says, there are rules? So the borders have to be defined clearly, and you ask yourself how many divisions of man that there could be, and then you start to understand that as many as the human agrees to. It's the forced coercion that be the problem, and that's done systemically by corruption of the wire. You say, well, okay, so if I had to summarize everything I've already said to you, how do we move forward? Just keep it simple. Um, in the year of census, you got to pay the bills down. So you increase the payment ratios of disbursement based on the machines used versus the interaction of humans, because that's where the problem is. It's basically bottlenecking, sir. And in a spherical oscillating environment, which is what we would have with disbursement, you say that's a timing gate or a clock. So the expansion of the network for the benefit of the children, and splitting the channels that says that there's a corporate channel, there's a military channel, there's a government channel, and then there's a family channel. Well, see, everybody wants to control that family channel. And presently, under law of the United States, the charters and treaties of the world, they don't have any control over it, but they're refusing to get their hand off the mic. And the authority that we move forward with is on the books already. The ITAR Independent Signals Integrity Auditor be what I be, only because I was forced to be. I'm being forced in the public, and having already donated 90% of the portfolio to public use anyway. We're just trying to get our retained earnings and let the insurance structures do what it does so we can get these payments out of people. You got 10 years worth of payroll backed up in Ukraine. 10 years, sir. That's an awful lot of time for people not to go with their money in Ukraine. And we have to fix that as Americans. We also have to recover the assets that have been lawfully exported by people, and we have to give it back. And the best way to do that is just to get these people that are running these platforms like Twitter and Facebook, just tell their moderators to stand down. And see, under law, it's a disbursement thing. We're supposed to deliver 17 pounds of paper to every county on the planet every 28 days. And you got to think about that a minute. The current regulatory burden that I have as an American, it's like, what the hell is that? I have to print 17 pounds of paper to disperse my damn payments every 28 days. That's how bad the administrative law has perverted itself. And it goes even further. You got people that are inside these administrative structures of the governments of the world, including the United States, that don't have a friggin' clue what their job is. And that's what the audit uh, summary says. If you get rid of the minutiae, if you will, um, there's too many gatekeepers, and there's so damn many gatekeepers that nobody can do anything. So the automation is critical, and the way you do that is just remove the moderators. So you know what, guys? All of you people that have been sitting there reading other people's stuff in violation of law, okay, you need to go your ass home. But before you do, we're going to offer you a new job and put you over here uh, doing things that are actually meaningful on the computer. So the perversion of the due process of law for the disbursement of information, it's already written in stone. You shall not impede commerce. And if you do, you better have some pretty deep pockets. And you shall not interfere with trust of and estates. And it gets even more sad when you look at that. I mean, the notices we sent to the Crown were in excess of multiple quads, sir, in just simple rebates that had never been returned over the years. And so you look at it practically, and you're sitting there, you're looking at, well, here's all the wealth over here that needs to be dispersed because it's backed up in these fake ass courts, and then you got the other stuff over here that says, well, here's all the payments that need to be made. So you start looking at the cyclic nature of actually what's going on the wire. Um, keep it simple, sir. They have no right to read mail, sir. Um, the wire is an electronic postal service, sir, and it should be managed by the United States Postal Service and the other post offices. And the release of the public uh, telephone directories, sir, and the address directories, and the organizational charts of these corporate and government structures, they have to be resynchronized in the digital realm. And the best way we know to do that is to plot everybody into a three-dimensional environment. The world's largest sandbox application, sir, for the use by the people that run the world. And the people that run the world, sir, are the mothers and fathers of the world. And having entrusted the administrative construct of the management of the wealth of humans, it only takes one or two people to screw up the whole damn system. It's a very basic idea. Throw a monkey wrench in a damn gear drive, and you got a problem. Either that gear is strong enough to endure that blockage and sever the intent of the blockage, or it will seize and bind. And that'd be literally what we've done if the application of mechanical engineering is relevant to my conversation. The port development structures are delayed. The highway projects are proceeding, but damn, they're proceeding slow. In other words, the whole world's ground to a halt based on the reality of perversion of information, and that COVID fiasco is just another damn example. These left-wing Marxist people that have been driven out of Ukraine in large part, and even the Soviet Union. I mean, when I look across there, I see a truth. It's like over there in Belarus. There's some awful things being said about reality, what happened in Belarus. So leaders are relevant to relevant information. So our way of proceeding forward is very, very simple. We've given the authorizations to complete the interconnect, but we're fighting with utility companies that are basically running scams on people. And so what do you do about it? Well, I'm hoping by doing things like this you can understand me. so in honor of what I know to be an American, I'm just going to see if I can't let the world listen to what you and I happen to think is important. And if me as quote unquote an uncooperative victim that stands for my own family matters, then I say the duty and the honor is extremely important. Um, so that'd be Rick.
They should have some humility. They should have some respect. The real heroes aren't them. The real heroes are the men and women who ran into that building to save people. They didn't ask whether they were white or black or homosexual or gay or heterosexual. They just ran in to save people. Well, how about we respect them instead of do things that disrespect them? The Black Lives Movement is a movement that hates police. They hate police, and they call for the killing of the kinds of people who ran into this building and said, well, if we have another terrorist attack, who's going to come and save us? Those baseball players? The Black Lives Matters? No, the police are going to come and save us. So it's about time we show respect for them. And those baseball players should be ashamed of themselves. They should have some humility. They should have some respect. The real hero.
Anyway, I say it's time, sir. Miss Gretchen and Tom Sawyer, and I say Tom Sawyer, I'm sorry, he reminds me of Tom Sawyer, don't he? I was Sawman over there, and Miss Gretchen, Dakota Betts, and the Journey Home Project, and it's time for them to do their job, sir. We transferred the funds for the disbursements to the veterans with my ability to rise as a officer of Pennsylvania Court for other veterans as a mentor. We don't know why the government's interfering with the ability to disperse payments. But we do know that people like Soros and the Renaissance groups and stuff like that, they're hell-bent on continuing to reverse engineer what the hell we say on this wire and cart it off to China or somewhere else for whatever the dollar will pay. And then you still got this false idea that there's competition, because see, there isn't. There's so much bad stuff out here. The mismanagement of the plastics manufacturing industry alone is enough to shut them all down under their own economic and environmental program push. Our data says that they're using substandard materials in anywhere it isn't regulated. And, the ecology that's being, either corruption and perversion with this whole thing of their Green New Deal. Well, they're monetizing it with the emissions that they're using by manufacturing stuff that they couldn't manufacture anywhere else because it's unlawful, sir. So there's the vortex environment of the dark and the light. That's where I'd like to leave this conversation. I hope it helps you, and I hope somebody disperses this to as many people as possible. We need our 17 hours of compliance to activate this thing for the benefit of the children. And when I say this thing, it's just what it is. It's a new radio and TV station and a bank network headquartered in Ukraine, interlinked to the city of London and interlinked to the United States. And that'd be what it is we're trying to do. The 3 points on the map is the contract deliverable. And people are belaying that in violation of Executive Order of the Office of the President of the United States. And these bar card holders, they're lying their ass off to POTUS. And on the top of it all, when they blew up that radio tower, which was the World Trade Center, I mean, everybody saw something for it different, but I'm telling you what it was for me, a signal cord. It was a very important radio signal for the United States. So we're going to fix the radio, sir, and we're going to help these children. We just want the leaders to do simple things. that says answer your damn telephone and do your job and stop delegating your authority to anonymous third-party contractors cross-border. Because that's what they're doing, sir. They're running scared because the dog needs to be off the chain. The planes need to be loaded, and you can't do that till you get the trucks moving. And our people's been on standby for damn near the entire time of the Trump administration because of the corruption of what's presently known as the swamp rats, or macroeconomics. Be real, and it's a dangerous damn thing. Um, so, with that as a given, we're gonna proceed forward with the reading, writing, and arithmetic mentality, sir. Always. Um, we are ready, willing, and able, but we need executive authority to proceed. President Ukraine and President United States, all politics are local. Well, officially, I'm doing a request here for the intervention of federal law enforcement for contract deliverables for the activation of the first responder network in the country of Ukraine. We've got life flight infrastructure to deploy here, and we've got the police band infrastructure needs to be deployed, and the supports for the courts needs to be deployed. In other words, there's just stacks and stacks of contract deliverables that are delayed. But I think we've done good. We're 17 hours away in Holden. And I just don't think we need to hold anymore. There's people going hungry over here and people having a very hard time. And I know I'm one of them. It shouldn't, they're absolutely ridiculous things they're doing. Same day wires being bundled and blocked administratively for false collateral, for what they call bullet trading. So the synchronization of the clock be the key, sir, and that be the purview that we're operating under. So I guess we keep moving forward, if only because the children need us all to be best. The concert's on schedule, sir. It has been. We cannot maintain this holding pattern. Nobody can. It's time to get out of the way and let the wire dogs and the truckers and the working people do their jobs, sir. And it's a simple act. The moderators must stand down. And when that happens, the fake media will cease to exist. And that includes the FCC regulated channels, all of them, all the way to the top. They're paying us to think. They're paying us to give them our minds, and they use it against us with these artificial scripting environments that are unlawful, sir. Reading someone's mail without their consent or a warrant is a crime. And they've all done it, sir. And the way that we know it is they're doing it live in your face. When an account is private, period, and controlled by the owner of the account. So you got to go back to the regulatory environment and say to Mr. FCC enforcement, the holdings of the NASDAQ, they're presently going to be transferred under bond back to the Joint Chiefs custody where they belong, because all of them, sir, the entire media infrastructure, they've all And let this sink in, all of this. Globally, the entire communications infrastructure is responsible for every crime that's been committed under law if you interpret the law. A simple drill down through the stacks of the law and the versions, and the synchronization of the same types of law. In other words, what's the number of the law that says thou shalt not kill in a specific language in a specific jurisdiction? When you align all those things together, it gives you a very wonderful picture of the cross. Thank you for listening, sir. I hope it helps. We are on standby. RWA ETA 17 hours. And we believe that your voice is critical so that we can proceed forward with the multinational Live Aid concert for the benefit of veterans and children. 13 nations is what it's supposed to be, sir. If we get 3, we figure we done good the first time around.